Haters are going to say it's fake. If you're listening and not watching, I have a new, I don't even want to call it tiara because it's not. It's a crown.
It's a full crown.
It's a full crown. And it's actually my tree topper, which I've gotten a lot of hate for because apparently it doesn't scream Christmas. But you know what? It screams me. And it screams when you realize the crown.
It does scream you. That is for sure.
I might keep it on.
Well, we're back so soon. I'm very proud of us. Also proud of us because that was the first time we've ever recorded an intro in one take.
That's facts. That was incredible. Yeah.
That was a Christmas miracle.
It was a Christmas gift to us. Really. Time is money. And time is a gift because usually that's about a 10 to 20 minutes.
Time is not money because we're making nothing on this.
Oh. The business world's been lying to me. Exposed. All right, I can't keep holding this. So
yeah, we admire you for that. I don't know who manufactured it, but they certainly had you in mind.
It was a steal. It was a deal and a steal. If you're shocked, I know, because they look like real diamonds, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The glitter's definitely not falling off all over me. But why are we here so soon? Why are we back so soon?
We are back so soon, i.e. in the regular duration that a normal podcast would be away, because it is Nobel Prize Week. And
happy Nobel Prize Week to all who celebrate.
And to all those who don't even. It is just a magical time and really perfect for our show because it is a great intersection between a royal family and the biggest scientists in the game. So
you're telling me that history and royals and science intersect.
Could you imagine?
I can't imagine. But it's happening, folks. Heard it here first.
So I thought, how could we pass up this opportunity? We're going to talk a little bit about the prize. We're going to talk a little bit about the Swedish royal family and how they play into this. And then I'll attempt to understand physics at the end, which that is entertainment in and of itself.
Truly the episode that keeps on giving.
Amazing. All right, so shall we dive in?
Let's dive.
Okay. So history of the Nobel Prize. Alfred Nobel was a chemist, an engineer, and a businessman. And
I'm sorry, I have to cut you off. Okay. That was rude. But we're talking about prizes, and and I meant to look up more about this, so I'm just throwing it in there, and then we can take it wherever we want. But I recently learned, and once again, I haven't actually looked this up to see if it's true, but I recently learned that the Pulitzer Prize and Lily Pulitzer are the same family.
You did text me that, and I too forgot to research this further.
Yeah. So
it is shocking.
While you're giving your overview, I'm going to be Googling that, so don't be distracted.
Okay. I will say that as far as I know, Alfred Nobel did not have a descendant who went on to create a preppy, iconic fashion line, but
that was then in Target. But
who's to say? All right. So before I was so rudely interrupted, Alfred Nobel was a chemist, an engineer, a businessman, and a philanthropist. He had an interesting line of work, which was that he had invented several different types of explosives, including dynamite. Interestingly, though, he was a pacifist. So in his mind, he was able to kind of compartmentalize the two until one day in 1888, he's kicking back with his morning cup of coffee, opens the newspaper, and it's an obituary about him. And it says, quote, "The merchant of death has died." It was a mistake. His brother had died and not him, so not great for the reporter who had published that. But it was really a wake-up call for Alfred because he realized that his legacy at this time was all about the death and destruction that he had caused, which wasn't really in line with his values. So when he actually died in 1896, so 8 years later, his family learned that he had decided to give most of his wealth to establishing a fund, quote, "the interest on which is to be distributed annually as prizes to those who during the preceding year have conferred the greatest benefit to humankind," end quote. So the prize is awarded every year in a few different categories. So physics, chemistry, medicine, peace, literature, and economics. And the way it works is that you can have 3 recipients per prize, who split about $9 million between them. And you have to be alive to receive the Nobel Prize. So
what a drag. So that's an important distinction because I think a lot of people refer to the prize as the Nobel Peace Prize. But
right,
that's
which
only
is just
one part of it.
Yes. Okay. So actually like the Nobel. Okay, so we'll just talk about it. So every year in December, there's a week of celebrations in Sweden where Alfred Nobel was from and where the Nobel Institute, who decides who to award them, is located. And the celebrations for some of the awards are in different locations. So the Peace Prize is really distinct from the award in physics. Those ceremonies are different, but we're going to focus on the science related ones, so physics, chemistry, and medicine. And those have a number of very lavish events throughout the week. So there is a big lecture from every winner, and then there's press conferences, and they are treated to a concert with the Royal Swedish Philharmonic. Very elegant. Think of what the opera house looked like where that woman had her $60 million wedding that went viral on TikTok. And then we all found out that her now husband is going to jail for a long time because he shot at some police officers. So like that, but without all of the scandal.
Unfortunately.
If you haven't heard about that, that's my latest obsession. So would recommend Googling. And then one of the premier events is a big banquet and award ceremony that's held at Stockholm City Hall. So it will be held this year on December 10th, which should be, God willing, when we're dropping the episode. Our sometimes producer and my full-time husband can get it together. But
part-time husband if he doesn't get it together.
The reason why this receives so much attention is that the awards are given out and this banquet is hosted by the Swedish royal family. So it's really high glamour that scientists normally aren't treated to. And it's just like any state dinner that you would see Vogue reporting on what Kate Middleton wore, that type of level.
This is the height of any scientist's accomplishments, right?
Yes.
This is the highest recognition you could receive.
Yes. I actually, there was a professor who won the Nobel Prize at Johns Hopkins my first year of grad school, and I was rotating in a lab that was in the same department, so they had a reception for him to celebrate. His name is Dr. Greg Semenza, and I've never seen the extravagance of this reception. There was a bartender.
Oh.
There was a cheese board, but there was a sheet cake. And I was thinking, this man... Because from Publix? No, it doesn't. Publix doesn't exist here.
Oh, I was going to say, because I know a lot of people that use those for their weddings. Apparently, they're quite good.
Yeah, I've heard that too. But no, Greg Semenza got just a basic sheet cake, and I'm thinking he just met the Swedish royal family.
He doesn't need your
And
cheese board, Jenna.
he doesn't care about any of us. Like, I took a picture with him. He was probably like, "Who is this girl?" Has no idea who I am.
Oh, it's a piece of-
So that is, but yes, that is, you have reached the summit. People can only dream.
Right.
And something cool about the Nobel Prize is that because there are three winners chosen, a lot of times people differentiate between like basic science and then translational science. So
Mhm.
translational is like anything that applies to kind of like a human problem, usually disease, and basic is just trying to understand how biology or chemistry or whatever is working without a certain application. But it's often like basic scientists making a discovery that's built on over time that leads to this translational application. And because there's three people, like that person who made the foundational discovery gets to share in it, just like that person who made the
Right.
translational application. So
Because it's never
it's,
just one person in science doing like making a discovery and doing it all. I guess they're building off of
yes,
things that came before.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
So when they go over there, do they already know who's been awarded? This is just a ceremony. This is just a formality. Like they know before, like you know, because you're going to go over it. Who's
Yes.
been awarded?
So they're notified earlier in the
Okay.
year, but the actual award ceremony and celebration is until December.
Okay. So, I mean, all of my knowledge of this is coming from the Big Bang Theory because Sheldon
Goodness.
actually won a Nobel Prize.
Wait, I had no idea.
Yeah, spoiler alert, it's like the last episode or second to last episode. So, sorry about that. But they all travel as a group over to Sweden. But they don't find it, like they're all sitting there and they don't know who won. Obviously, that's more dramatic.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, so
You're only invited if you won. They don't
okay.
want a bunch of nobodies there.
Well, he brought the whole crew.
That's really funny.
And then he gave a speech, like you said, they give talks, I guess, because they're prepared to do that. But so yes, anyway, I'm guessing there's more to it, and so I'm excited to learn how it really works. I'm excited to share.
I was going to say, I would love to hear you share a bit about the Swedish royal family.
Yeah.
We actually went to Sweden this year. Our newest sister-in-law is, or not newest, she's our only sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Our sister-in-law is from Sweden, and we had a wonderful time, but I still know nothing about the royal family.
They are lovely. The people of Sweden, and I'm sure the Swedish royal family are as well. I don't know them personally yet, but we'll be visiting that country more in the future, and who knows? And maybe when you get your Nobel Prize, I'll accompany you.
Yeah,
and
right.
meet them. So hey, Sheldon can do it, so can you. But no, let's talk a little bit about who the Swedish royal family is, because, like you said, they are really involved in all of the ceremonies and handing it out, and it's one of the biggest roles that the royal family plays today in Sweden. So
That's
right
pretty
now,
sad.
it is, but I mean, there's lamer royal families who don't have any roles.
That's true. At least everyone pays attention to the Nobel.
Exactly. I mean, like, I'm going to be looking to see what they're doing, what they're wearing. Like, I don't really care about anything else except what they're wearing, which is probably the opposite of the entire event. So that's sad. Sad to admit out loud. But anyway, here we are. So the current royal family is the Bernadotte family, and 10 minutes before this called our sister-in-law because I Googled how to pronounce it. And of course, it was not the correct pronunciation. And she says it much better than I can, but that is closer than what I was getting to before. So the family has ruled in Sweden for 200 years. So they've been around a good while. The current king is Gustaf, Carl the 16th, right? XV116.
Sure.
Yeah. He's 77. He is surprisingly younger than Biden, but we're not going to go there. And his wife is Queen Sylvia. So Carl has been on the throne since 1973. He was 27 when he took the throne, and he is Sweden's longest reigning monarch. So it's been 50 years. I think it was 50 years in September. So that's what the Golden Jubilee, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it was a big milestone. And just for context, I mean, Elizabeth celebrated what, was it 75? Did I make that up? Yeah.
I think so.
So
Yeah.
imagine like that. This is a long time for Sweden. And then, Elizabeth was just going and going. But anyway, good for him. Good for Carl. He was obviously a young man, a much different world when he took the throne, and a much different man when he was born. He was born in 1947, I believe. So he's seen a lot, much like Elizabeth saw a lot in her lifetime. So we touched on it a little bit. Like the British royal family, their role is symbolic and ceremonial. So things like this, openings, they have their patronages of the things that they are passionate about, causes that they're passionate about. But it's interesting because when Carl first ascended to the throne, the king actually had like political powers. In the 70s in Sweden. They still had it, and then darn it, right after he took the throne, they took it all away.
Was it because of him, or
no, I think
just
it was
like
getting with the times kind of thing? Yeah. But I'm sure he was like, dang it. Or maybe he was happy, maybe he was relieved. That's a lot of pressure. Maybe he didn't want that. Not sure. I'll ask him when I see him. And then another thing that was different at the time, so he has or had, I haven't looked to see if they're still alive, but he has 4 older sisters. I'm assuming they're not all living, but maybe they are. Sorry, I didn't confirm, but he has 4 older sisters. So as you can imagine, everyone was really excited when he was born, because at the time, the laws still stated that the male had precedence, like a male would was heir to the throne. So 4 girls, you can imagine, kind of like the Romanovs. If you listen to that episode, if you look into it, 4 girls are like, no, and then they have the 5th, and it's Carl. So,
but no hemophilia this time.
No hemophilia as we know of. So, hi, Lando.
Sorry, there's a package being delivered.
Classic city living. So he has 4 older sisters. Unfortunately, when Carl was 9 months old, so this is in 1947, his father dies in a plane crash in Denmark. And there are 22 people on board this plane, including Academy Award nominee Grace Moore. She was an actress. I'm not familiar with her work, but you might be. The movie is One Night of Love, if you're into classics. So sad. Sorry, Grace. But it's kind of it's a sad situation because they're on this plane, and apparently a really young employee who had just started working at this airport like a few weeks before and wasn't really trained was in charge of the pre-flight checks.
Oh my gosh.
It did not go well, the checking. And they crashed shortly after takeoff from the airport. So at the time, when Carl was born, he was 3rd in line to the throne. So his grandpa's on the throne. His father was 2nd in line. He was 3rd in line. So his father passes away. He is now 2nd in line to the throne. So he marries his wife Sylvia in 1976. She is originally from Germany, but also spent a lot of time living in Brazil because her mother was Brazilian. Thought that was very cool.
Is she of like an aristocratic background? Or
not from what I could see. They met at the Olympics in 1972 in Munich. But she is very accomplished. She speaks 8 languages, including sign language. She seems lovely. And then they had 2 children, I believe, a boy and a girl and a boy. Like I said, when Carl was born, the traditional laws of the male taking the throne was in effect. After Carl's first child was born, she was a daughter, Sweden changed the law. So right now, the heir to the Swedish throne is Crown Princess Victoria. She's 46, and because she's the eldest, she will ascend the throne. So and then her oldest is also a girl. So for the foreseeable future, Sweden should have a queen. And I read that Victoria will be the country's first queen, not a queen consort, so not a queen to marry a king or a prince, a queen in her own right, since the 1700s. So
wow,
that's pretty exciting. So Princess Victoria, I mentioned she's 46. She spent some time in America in 1990s and late 1990s. She went to Yale. And she's been pretty open about some of her mental health struggles and some of the things that she's battled. Part of the reason why she came to America to get a little reset. She suffered from anxiety. I'm sure it's still something she suffers from, and also a eating disorder. So she's very big on mental and physical health for young people. That's one of her passions and one of the projects and things that she is a patron of in the country, as well.
Love to see it.
Yeah, as well as environmental climate and sustainability issues, which her father is also very passionate about. So it's fitting that they have a role in this Nobel Prize, particularly in the science. And I think we saw it too when we went to Sweden, just the different mindset that they have about really everything when it comes to lifestyle and environment. It's just
and health.
It's incredible. And you hear about it and you think, oh, it's probably exaggerated, and it's really not. So it makes sense that is one of their passions. And right now it sounds like the royal family is pretty well liked. There's a recent survey that was done that shows that the approval for the royal family is at its highest that it's been in the last 20 years. So sounds like things are going well. And yeah, we can get confirmation again from our Swedish in-laws to see if they agree. But yeah, so that's a little bit about the family.
Okay, we haven't talked about the most interesting part of the royal family.
Oh, what'd I miss?
Princess Sophia.
Do tell.
So Princess Sophia is King Carl's daughter-in-law. And she's very beautiful. She was a model. So when you see pictures of the royal family, it's normally about what she's wearing. But she was on a reality show, a very wild reality show. Our sister-in-law told me about this. I'm looking it up now because I couldn't remember what it's called.
This is like a Meghan Markle Suits situation.
Yeah, it's called Paradise Hotel.
I'm in.
And a group of singles live in a luxurious hotel resort, and they compete to see who can stay the longest. Each week, contestants pair off into couples and must share a hotel room together.
So I'm assuming this was before she married into the family.
Yes, she was. This was in 2010. So she was very accomplished. She was well educated. She studied global ethics, child and youth sciences. So she was classy.
But of course, all of that is overshadowed by her Paradise.
She was also on this really trashy show, so it was a little bit scandalous.
I love it. Good for her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still part of the royal family, so guess they're more progressive than some others.
Their wedding was in 2015, and I remember seeing the photos. It was a huge, the biggest one since Kate and William, basically royal wedding. So anyways, just a fun little shake up there.
Yeah, got to shake it up a little bit. They can't all be classy. I mean, she is classy, but they can't all be perfect. Everyone's got
I would love to go back and watch that.
Speaking of the crown princess, so Carl's daughter, the heir to the throne, I don't know if this is juicy or anything, but I thought it was interesting that she married her personal trainer, Daniel.
That is juicy.
That's juicy, right?
Very juicy.
Yeah. So there's that personal training.
Interesting. We're going to have a fit queen.
Yes, she is very beautiful. I mean, the whole family is. And that's not shocking because it's Sweden and I didn't see one ugly person the entire time I was there.
Except for me.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't see an ugly person I wasn't related to the entire time. Or that I didn't see in the mirror. Both. Neither here nor there.
Oh my gosh.
But tell us about the winners, the lucky winners who get to
the lucky winners who get to meet the incredible royal family. So this is, I don't think I've admitted this on the show before, but I don't think physics is real. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I know it's real, but it doesn't feel real.
Casey's going to come for you. Our brother's
coming. He is. Our brother loves physics, and
also,
which is so
half of the science community and all of the fans of the Big Bang Theory.
Listen, I'm a fan of the actual Big Bang Theory, not
the show.
The show.
But isn't that physics?
I don't know. I guess it's just I don't understand how you prove anything in physics. Like, especially when it comes to astrophysics.
Theoretical.
It's very amorphous. I'm uncomfortable with it.
Okay.
So
you need proof. You need cold, hard.
I want to see it under the microscope, you know?
It's like Santa. I'm not going to believe it unless I see him. And for all those kids listening, he's real. I'm just saying.
He's very real. Stephanie has seen him, and that's why she believes it. Right?
I have seen him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I'll just go over this year's winners in the 3 science categories.
What they won for too.
Yes,
even though we won't understand it. Okay, great.
I'm gonna try. It's hard for me to understand.
No, then I'm never gonna get it.
The physics one, but okay, and also the names I'm going to butcher. But physics went to Pierre Agostini, Ferenc Krauss, and Anne Lullier.
Lullier?
Lullier.
Are they French?
Yes.
Okay, they're all French?
No.
Okay, she's French. Pierre.
But Pierre might be. I don't know. Okay. Maybe Ferenc is too.
Okay.
Anyway, I wasn't really interested in their country of origin. I was interested in their amazing science that is definitely real. They solved this problem. So essentially, when we photograph anything, you can think of like if something's moving really fast, your iPhone just catches it as a blur. So the same works for microscopy in science. If you have a sample that's moving, you need the shutter to go quickly so that you can actually capture the movement. And they're pretty good at this in today's day and age, except for electrons. So electrons, those negatively charged particles that make up everything, they move extremely quickly and you can't capture them with normal imaging. So these 3 researchers developed techniques that allow you to generate light pulses on the attosecond scale. I had never heard of this. An attosecond is 1/1000th of a billionth of a second.
Oh, my brain.
Which is wild. Wow. But because of this, now you can image electrons and see them moving, which is amazing.
Incredible. That's an incredible achievement and one that I understood. Not the time, but like the theory of it.
What's happening. Yeah, 1/1000th of a billionth of a second.
Perfect. Got it.
That could keep me up at night.
Yes.
Okay. So chemistry, Mugi Bowendi, Louis Spruce, and Alexei Yekimov, excuse me. These 3 won for their work on quantum dots. Also, something very small. Yeah, quantum scares me. That sounds like a sci-fi movie. But don't be alarmed. So this actually started off with observations of colored glass and what was supporting this color, where is it coming from? And basically what they discovered are these quantum dots, which are nanoparticles that are so tiny, they don't behave like other particles. Because they're so small, they have chemical properties that are very unique. So I'm sure you remember from our IB chemistry classes that when you excite a particle, it like elevates its energy, right? And then it releases that energy. And the release of the energy emits a wave.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how much energy is there, it's a different color, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like colors, wavelengths, that sort of thing. So these dots do the same thing. They can absorb light and then emit color, but it's very specific depending on their size. And one of the developments is that now you can manufacture quantum dots. So they're actually in television screens now, and they're also used in medicine for like tracking different things throughout the body. So pretty cool.
So that's what did they do with quantum dots? They
So
discovered them?
Collectively, they discovered them, and then I think that was like one of them discovered them, and then it was more about like being able to mass produce them for these practical applications.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Dots.
So we have light, we have dots, and then this one is probably more familiar to most of our listeners. The Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded to Katalin Karikó and Drew Weissman, and their discoveries led to the COVID vaccine, which is the first licensed mRNA vaccine.
Very controversial.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
Perhaps. So actually I was talking about this in a course just this week or last week, but the idea that everyone was freaked out because the COVID vaccine happened so fast.
Right.
And for a lot of people, they were like, I don't really know what RNA is.
Yep.
And it just seems like we just whipped this out. But really, the COVID vaccine was the culmination of many, many years of work behind the scenes, in part by Katalin and Drew, which it just happened that the timing was perfect for all of these discoveries to generate this vaccine. But the way that traditional vaccines usually work is that you'll inject like a deactivated portion of the virus, and then your immune system is able to like look at that, learn about it. So then hopefully if it sees the actual virus, it'll be prepared to fight the infection.
Right.
But they're kind of hard to produce, and they require like cells, sometimes controversial cell lines, stem cells, things like that. But mRNA is different. So mRNA is the intermediary between DNA and then proteins in your body. So DNA becomes mRNA, and then mRNA becomes the protein. And the benefit of using this in your vaccines is, one, the RNA itself can produce an immune reaction. So with a lot of other vaccines, you have to add something called an adjuvant, which stimulates the immune system. If you've ever heard of like squalene, that's like, if you inject that, your immune system is like, whoa, what's going on? And then that draws attention to the virus. But in this one, just the fact that it's RNA, your body recognizes that as foreign.
Okay.
And then in addition, the RNA is translated into protein within your body. So once the COVID vaccine, the RNA enters a cell, that mRNA can be translated into a portion of the COVID protein that your immune system then recognizes and is trained to respond to. And then, of course, it's just much easier to manufacture because mRNA can be synthesized without using all of these cells and extra steps. So it's cheaper, and it leads to a more efficient response. So what Katalin and Drew did was that they showed that if you switch one of the bases, so one of the building blocks of mRNA, it can reduce the immune response so that it's not so high that your body will like go crazy. And then it will also help the cells that are infected, or the cells that receive the RNA, efficiently generate protein. So they made this process like really feasible to actually be used in humans.
And they were working on it long before 2020.
Long before, and before anyone knew that it could have value as a vaccine.
That's pretty incredible.
Kathleen Carrico, actually, she lost her job at University of Pennsylvania, I believe. I should have checked that, but I'm pretty sure. Because she just couldn't get funding. So she made this discovery that led to a Nobel Prize, but no one saw the value at the time. So she had to leave and go to a different institution.
That's science, because I know you get frustrated a lot with your experiments, and we talk about it. And
Yeah.
I'm sure others in your field or in the science field feel the same way, feel defeated a lot. But clearly that's part of the journey sometimes. And imagine like if they hadn't been working on these things before 2020, like where would we be now waiting? Like,
Exactly.
It would have taken years, and can't even think about it. So horrible. So, and that's interesting because this is 3 years after that, and now they're being awarded. So I don't know if that's like normal. I mean, I'm sure they had other recipients lined up before then, but
yeah, I mean, that's probably pretty fast because you have to be alive to receive it. It's actually often quite sad that someone whose work was essential to that discovery gets left out, because it takes kind of a long time for the fruits of the work to be appreciated.
So that might actually be faster, the recognition.
I think this was pretty fast, but again, it was like a pretty unprecedented thing.
Amazing. I kind of understood all three of those.
I kind of understood them as well, so I'm glad.
Great. We're on the same page here.
We understand at the same level.
That's coming up on December 10th, and we'll be following it for definitely the science and not the fashion.
You know what? I'm just waiting for a scientist to knock our socks off, fashion-wise.
Who was the woman from the COVID?
Kathleen Carrico.
She sounds like she could bring it.
You think so?
Kathleen, you got to bring it with that name.
Yeah, the women who won for CRISPR a couple years ago, one of them is French, and she had something going on, but I want to see royal fashion. Dazzle me. I want to see Blackpink meeting King Charles 2 weeks ago. For me, they brought it.
Well, that is a high bar.
It is.
Not
but
the
they can
King
do
Charles
it.
Part, but the Blackpink part.
Can we talk about how I thought you...
Nope, don't ruin it.
What?
For people that haven't seen Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah. It was something happened with a Charles in Only Murders in the Building.
And I thought she was talking about King Charles.
But
I was shocked.
Just in case you happen to watch. And if you don't, highly recommend. Great show.
Great music, too.
Great music, yes. So that was great. I thank you for this little mini episode. Very timely. Hopefully you learned a little bit about the royals and a little bit about science, which is great because that is the theme of this podcast.
It sure is.
So if
I may offer a suggestion of how to best celebrate Nobel Week from home, I would say that the greatest thing I learned in Sweden was filka.
Yes, that is a pastry.
That is an afternoon pastry and coffee or tea time. Mandatory. Delightful. Every afternoon.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, have a little filka and think of us.
And also, I did confirm about the Pulitzer thing, and I think that the woman who started Lily Pulitzer married into the Pulitzer Prize family.
It's not blood.
That's what I got so far. But I mean, it's still the same family, which is.
Did she have the line before or after she married in?
I'm pretty sure after.
So she's a Nepo baby by marriage. Yeah.
I need to confirm again. I could be like really disparaging all of her hard work, but I Googled it.
Her husband probably was like, yeah, here's money to start this cute company to keep you quiet. And then she became hugely successful.
Yeah.
So good for her.
Good for you, queen.
Mm-hmm.
And to her, I give my crown.
She doesn't want it. It's a tree topper.
I'm the tree that's topping. Okay. We gotta go before it gets weirder.
Love ya.